Everybody, I'm Deez. This is my workshop. Welcome back. I've got Little D's number 2 with me for today's video. We are going to make a project that this guy can use at his college dormitory. Little D's number 1 and Mrs. D's are traveling, visiting family. So these guys are going to be working in the garage today for today's project. So with that said, let's get down here and I'll show you what today's plans are going to be.
I'm excited.
I'm excited as well. The ideas that I have today are to make a simple paperweight. This guy's in college. He's got papers galore. Well, everything's digital now, but he could put this on top of his computer. It doesn't matter. We are going to make a paperweight out of this material here. My ideas are either to use this piece of aluminum. This isn't incredibly heavy. This piece of aluminum, maybe some round stock. This shaft here that we can use to lift up the paperweight, and maybe a second paperweight out of some steel. This is some 12L14, and this is some U-channel scrap steel. So I thought we'd make 2 different paperweights today, and Little D's number 2 can take whichever he likes back to the dorm. I'm thinking that we'll probably use the round bar because it's much heavier than this little piece of square stock, but we're going to let the ultimate decision be up to Little D's number 2. What say you?
I feel like this is pretty nice. It's a nice shape. It's pretty heavy too, but I don't know, I kind of like the look of this little thing. It's got the density to it. This one might be the way to go.
We're doing both. We're going to make 2 paperweights. We're going to scrap that, and we're going to use a round bar, this guy here, 12L14, and this stock here. We'll clean this up. We're going to cut a sliver off of this thing so we can turn this in the mill, in the lathe, and square this thing up and make this nice and clean. We'll thread it. We'll get some material in here and get these 2 mounted up. And then this one here, we need to thread and get connected to both parts. Before we get started, this one here fortunately has a thread in it. This was something I salvaged. So we're going to utilize this. It's got a nice detail on there. But we need to know what the thread is on this thing. So here is how we do this. By the way, I'm also teaching the son how some of this stuff works. This is called a thread, a thread gauge kit. You can kind of figure out what kind of thread you're dealing with, so when you're making your other parts, you know what to do. So you go through here and you figure out, is this M7 one thread pitch? No, that doesn't screw in there. Maybe it's Imperial. Is it 5/16 18? Nope, that's too thick. It's probably 1/4 20. Let's pick the 1/4 20. Does that thread in there? It does. So 1/4 20 is the thread that we're going to need for when we put our round stock in here in order to connect these 2. We're going to need a 1/4 20 threaded rod. But we need to know that before we get started. Let's go ahead and cut a sliver off of this, and we'll get this piece cut and squared up and chamfered, and this will be ready to go. All right, we're going to train the little guy here how to cut some steel, or aluminum in this case. What we use is a C-clamp in order to keep it from rotating that round bar around and making it dangerous. I've instructed him not to put his hands anywhere near the blade and to use the push stick as he gets closer to the end. He knows that this blade cuts at a slight angle, so he's going to try to keep the blade on the other side of that black line that we made, and he's going to get started. With that said, get started. Okay, we want to fix this because it came loose.
Warm? Probably.
Just unloosen this. You're fine. Just make it, put it in the put it halfway, and then tighten it back up. That's good. And then pull it back out. You don't want to start it with it on there like that. Now start it and then turn the thing on, and you're going to start it back into that slot and. There we go. He did a great job. These are going to be pretty warm, But if you look, flip it over here, you can see that always does a really good job. And now we've safely cut this piece off using the push stick and the clamp. That way the thing doesn't try to bind and pull into any direction. I think the next thing that we want to do is get this set up in the lathe so we can get these things squared up and cleaned up. Well, we need to swap out our collet chuck in order to turn this larger material. We're going to put our 3-jaw back in, and to do that we have 3 screws back here to do that. Do you want to take care of that?
I sure will.
All right.
Do I get them from back here?
Back here, you put that as top as you can. You may have to rotate that a little bit. And remember, righty tighty, lefty loosey. There you go. So there's one. Let's go to the next. And let's do the third. Okay, now you can set that aside, and we should be able to get these with our fingers or hand. So go ahead and take all 3 of those out and just set them up here on the end. There's one. Okay, let's put in, make sure this is clean, there's no debris. Let's put in our 3-jaw.
These ones are going to take the same screws?
Yep, same screws.
All right.
And you should be able to get the other 2 in. We've got our 3-jaw back on here. Now it's time to open this up and put our workpiece in and clean up one side of it. So with that, grab the 3-jaw chuck key.
This one?
Yep, or the big one. Remember, we got 2 inches that we need to mount this in. All right, that should a little bit more. Okay, so let's put that in there about right there. Then we should be able to clean up the face of this. Again, this is really, you know, it's aluminum. You don't have to go too crazy, but just give it a tweak so it doesn't come off of there. Now, we are ready to turn down the face of this. And what are we going to do? We could do some high-speed steel or some carbide. I think we'll just use some, let's try our high-speed steel this time. And we're going to move it at an angle there. Tighten that down. And what we want to do is clean this up. And we're just going to come in little by little until we get this face cleaned up. And I'm going to show Little D's number 2 how to do that. I'm going to do a couple passes and show him how to take care of this, and then he's going to finish it off until it's nice and clean on that face. Let's get the lathe started. Let me get my glasses on.
Safety's #1 priority.
And I actually want to use, give me that, use a little bit of oil to prevent some galling. We'll bring it in, we're going to lock it, we're going to come across. And because it's so oblong, we're just going to take a little bit of a pass each time. So we're going to unlock it, we're going to come in just a little bit. That's too much. I'm going to back that off. As you can see, it really needs a lot of cleanup, but I'm going to let him take over and we're going to finish cleaning this thing up. We just need to take a little bit at a time. As you can see, the last cut I took was way too much. had to back it off. But we're ready to go. He's going to take over and finish cleaning this up, and we'll flip it over and do the other side. Don't forget a little bit of oil to prevent galling. Let's try it again, but we're going to use carbide this time. So go ahead and get it spinned up. Keep your arms away from this. Put a little bit of oil on the face of that. There you go. Now, spin her up, 600 RPMs, and gently take that across and see if that does better. Let's inspect. Okay, we still have a few thou to clean up, so let's keep going. Bring it in.
I feel like that's good.
Want to inspect it? Oh, we're really close.
A little bit more.
So I would, again, a little more oil. The problem with, just remember that with aluminum and these cutters, it can gall. It can like stick, the aluminum will stick to it. So the oil prevents the sticking.
Gotcha.
So we want to go in just a little bit more, not much. That's good. Lock it, spin her up, and hopefully that's the last cut. Use this and clear all your swarf off. That's good. Now spin her up and let's clean this up. Don't ever grab this stuff with your fingers or your hands.
It's hot, right?
No, it's razor blade.
Oh, it's sharp.
It'll actually cut you really bad. Just let it do its thing and we'll clean it up later. Okay?
All right.
Never grab that stuff.
Yeah.
And rather than dragging the cutter back across, you're not going to ruin your cool finish.
I see that.
All right, so now we can bring it out, because now what we want to do is chamfer. You ever hear about chamfering? Chamfering, every time you feel the tops of that. Feel how sharp that is?
Yeah.
This stuff can be super sharp and cut you. We always want to chamfer our edges. That's just like a big time rule.
Yeah.
So we want to take this cutter out.
You have a chamfer?
I do.
Ooh.
And we're going to lock that straight, but we want to get this one out of here. And we want to bring that back, because we're going to chamfer just this outside edge. Bring that back, and then bring it back your way. Keep going. Right there. That's good. So what we're going to do is basically just touch the edge of that, boop, and cut it. But we can't just do that, right? Because we're going to make sure our jaws are going to clear so we don't actually hit our tool. If you
Oh, yeah, I see.
See how that's hitting there?
Yeah.
So we got to bring this way, and we can bring it in, and we can actually chamfer it that way. But before we turn anything on, spin this by hand. Make sure it clears. Clearance is clearance, but if you don't have your things right, you're going to bang in, you're going to crash the machine, they call it.
Yeah.
So that looks good. What I would do is lock this in place. So now we're not going to be able to move it that way and crash into the chuck. So when we turn this on, we'll be able to just chamfer this by moving that in just a little bit and just chamfer that corner. So go ahead. That's fine. Now bring this in just a little bit. We only want a little bit of a chamfer. And that's good. Back it off. That's all we need. I'll turn it off. Now feel that with your finger. How's that feel?
A lot better.
A lot better. This side is done. We want to turn everything off. We're going to flip it over, and we're going to do the same on the other side. Really
Still,
close.
Probably one more.
Probably one. Yep. Probably one more. Let's just a little bit over. Lock it in place. Put some oil on it first. Now you want to square this up. So unlock.
So like that?
Yep.
Doesn't matter how, like...
Just make it as square as you can.
Okay.
And then you want to back that out because we're going to chamfer this harsh edge here. Just like we did before. Now we could probably bring this tooling in and it wouldn't shatter so much, but I think we'll be okay.
Yeah.
We also have to be mindful of the jaws.
Alright. Does it look like it's going to hit any of these? Or you a little...
Well, you always just hand spin it before you start. That way you know. I would bring it back this way.
Back this way?
No, this way.
Okay.
All right, now bring that in. Okay, that's going to work. Everything's clear. So lock this so it doesn't move. And now make sure that doesn't. Now hand spin this again. Let's make sure. All right, now we can turn it on. We shouldn't need oil for this. Okay. And just bring that in and cut the chamfer. That's good. Back it off. Shut her off. Okay, we have both sides chamfered. We have our puck, so to speak, created. Now what we want to do is we're going to have to center drill this and put a threaded hole in this so we can attach our shaft.
Alright guys, so we're going to go ahead and drill a pilot hole, whatever it's called.
It's a centering bit. We're just going to put a hole in there so that we can drill our hole and be able to thread it for quarter 20. This is going to take it slow. That's good. You don't want to go too crazy. That's plenty. Just go real slow. Don't go too hard. Just real slow. Keep going until you get almost to the top of that chamfer. And we're good. That's good. Back her off. Turn it off. Now we got to get our drill in there. We'll check our sizes. I think I'm going to need a number drill. So this video is about teaching the young one how to do this sort of thing. And I'm not a teacher. I'm still learning myself. But I do know that we need to drill this to a proper size before we tap it to a quarter 20. So if we go to the chart, we can figure out what we need exactly. We know we're going to do quarter 20. Where's that?
Up
there
here.
We go.
And the drill
quarter
size.
20. If you have a number set, you can do number 7. Otherwise, you can use 13/64, and that will be just as easy to tap for that. So I have a 13/64. I think that's what we're going to use for this particular project, and then we'll be able to tap it. All right, we have everything ready. We've got a mark here as far as the depth that we want to go, and we're going to put a little oil in there and bring this into that blue line and get that pre-drilled.
Marker.
So now we have our hole pre-drilled. Let's get everything cleaned up and we'll get ready. We'll chamfer this hole before we thread it. That'll thread nicely. We're going to go ahead and tap this. We're going to use like a gun tap first, and then we'll use a bottom tap to finish it off. Let's put some oil in there before we get started. and we are going to thread this by hand. What you're going to do, if you want to use gloves, you can. We're going to pull this around and we're just going to tap it until we get to the bottom, and then we're going to go ahead and change out the tap and use the bottoming and tap.
All right. Just like spin it this way?
Yeah, I'm going to push it. And you should feel it bite and start threading that hole. You feel it?
I think so.
Now you
yeah.
back it off. So you do a little, and then you back it off, and then now you can go forward again. And you go until you feel resistance. You don't want to go hard because you'll break that. Okay. But when you feel it stop, we stop. Okay, that's good.
There's resistance.
Okay, stop. Let me make sure we're not too... All right, let's go. Let's see if you can go a little further. Easy, easy. All right, that's probably the end. Let's stop there. Back it off.
I have to unscrew you.
Yeah. Now we can cheat. Let's stop there. Hang on. Turn this in reverse. Now, turn this on. Turn it just very lightly. Turn it on. A little farther, a little more than that. And it'll come out of there.
Sweet.
Okay, now we can switch to the bottoming and tap. So we got all those chips out of there, but we didn't get to the bottom. See how the point is on there?
Yeah.
We want to make sure we get all the way to the bottom of that.
Okay.
So we switch to this one. See, that's more flat.
Gotcha. I see.
Now that we've got it started, though, that's the hard part. Put this in here. Yeah, that's safe. Perfect. Pull it your way. Give her a squoosh of oil, too, while we're at it. And again, we're just going to go all the way until you feel that resistance. You'll feel where it starts cutting when it gets to the bottom of where we stopped before.
It's getting harder.
That's okay. Now back it off. Now go forward. Because you're breaking the chip. We're just trying to cut. Okay, back it off. Hang on. Let's go a little bit farther. Not too hard. Don't pull too hard. All right, that's probably
the end.
Okay. So, all right, it's in reverse. Let's turn this back on and pull this out of here. A little farther. There we go. Here we go. Turn it off. And that will thread our hole. So to test that, if you want to do the honors, let's make sure that works. It should go in nicely, not hard. If it's hard, then you got it cross-threaded. It should be very easy.
It's not super easy. Am I doing it wrong?
You know, it might be dirty. Do we have air? A little bit, not much. Now let's see. There we go.
Works good enough.
So, all right, we're going to part this off, and then we can flip this around, clean the outside, and that piece will be done.
You want to roll it up?
It's on reverse. Nope. Turn it to forward here.
Okay.
All right, camera died. Let's, we have this piece ready. Let's do a quick test fit. The idea is to thread this onto here. Hopefully We may have to cut that down a little bit, but ultimately that's what we're after.
Maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, we're gonna have to cut that down a little bit. Let's go ahead and do that real quick.
You want to do it with the japer?
There we go. That looks good. Now that we have that done, we're gonna chuck it up on here so that we can actually clean the OD of this, and that's gonna complete the project.
Genius.
Now, usually we want to use a collet chuck for this, but I think we're just gonna gently grab this and it's gonna be fine. And we'll be able to clean up the OD of this part. Now, we're going to use a power feed for this one. About 500 or 600. That's fine. Now, just go in until you just barely touch on it. Okay, now don't go too much. Okay, and we back off this way. We're going to engage the power feed. As soon as the cutter gets beyond the back side of that, you lift on this and it stops.
Okay.
So we don't want to crash the head. So when you're ready, push it down all the way down. Okay? And then just as soon as it clears the back side of that, lift up on that. You got to really pay attention to what you're doing. This is called the power feed. Okay, lift. Now, back it off. We clearly did not clean everything up. So go the other, keep going. That's fine. We want to put a little bit more oil on there. So you can go in a little bit. Put some oil on there first. Over there. That's good. Now you already went in.
Yes.
So turn the power feed on. Probably have to go one more. I feel like it's still in there. But it's looking pretty good. Lift it. Back it off. Okay, let's just turn this off. And yeah,
Still right
we're
here.
really close. So we're going to do that again and give it a little bit. Actually, it doesn't need oil. It's got plenty. Crank this up to 700. That's fine. Now wait, we want to bring this in right there. Let's see what that does. Back it off. Now you can go. Okay, now you can do it. So, if we look, we don't like what happened here. Something weird went on here.
Mm-hmm.
So what we want to do is clean this up. And let's see if we can improve that. We want it to look really nice. So, hang on. No, just what we'll do is turn this on. Okay? Let's see if that cleans it up. Let's turn this off, back that up, and then you can bring it all the way out. Now get your towel, let's clean up the oil that's on there and see what it looks like. It's not too bad. Not too bad. Now we want to chamfer these edges again. If you feel these are sharp again. So let's put our chamfer tool back on. Tighten that up. Let's loosen this top one, square it up. Tighten the top. Now back this back off and let's come to this front edge. Okay, that's good. Let's lock it. Now we're going to turn this thing on about 600. I'll put a chamfer on there. That's good. All right, we got this top side cleaned up nice. Now we're going to do the back side here. Now, if we're lucky, everything is going to fit. Now, we may have to replace the screw. Doing what we did here may have damaged that screw, but we're going to give it a shot. But this puck turned out pretty nice. Let's go ahead. Let's see. Does it still fit, or will we have to thread that? Yeah, we may have to. Well, it's going. Boom. Worked. Yeah. We don't want to go too tight.
Make sure it's, spin it real quick. It's all centered. Oh, you're just gonna sand it though now.
That's it.
Alrighty, polish it up.
Let's go check it out. Let's do a recap on the bench. I think I'm going to make another one of these paper weights a little bit later, but for today, this guy's got to get back to college. And I think, did you want the aluminum one, or do you want the other one later?
Well, this thing looks pretty sweet, so
It
really
does. So there we go. We made a goofy little paperweight that the boy can take back to college and use in his dormitory and or whatever situation he's working in. So it's a silly project, but something that he can take with him. I do think there's one more thing that we need to do. Stand by. Yeah. Agreed.
nice.
Pretty silly, but why not? We got a stamp in there. And now, there's a paperweight.
Booyah.
Aluminum. There you go, son.
Sweet. I like
You made it.
Thank you, Dad.
Well, thanks for everybody watching. I know this is really goofy, but something to do in the shop with the son and teaching him a little bit of thing or two. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Hope to see you on the next one.
Adios.